Hi, I am Kadeen Smith from the Office of the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Trinidad and Tobago. Today I'm at the Caribbean Sustainable Development Forum and I'm joined by Mr. Cletus Springer. Welcome. He is the Director of Development at the Organization of American States. Mr. Springer, can you share with us some of the takeaways that you have from the forum's discussions that have been held yesterday and this morning?
Well, thank you. Firstly, I'm glad I came because the discussions so far have reinforced the wisdom, you might say, and the direction of the OAS in terms of the things that it is doing now and has been doing for some time in the area of sustainable development, especially within its member states. We had some very good discussions, especially this morning, on the Malaysia approach to the Sustainable Development Goals. And we are now engaged in the OAS in a process of internal reflection in terms of how we might organize ourselves as an international organization to assist our member states in nationalizing the SDGs. And the approach that Malaysia used is one that I found very, very, very fascinating. We also had some very good presentations also this morning on things that are being done, the best practices in terms of energy and sustainable energy development. Yesterday we had presentations on climate change, which we also found to be very, very enlightening as well. I am hoping at the end of this process that we will get some kind of common consensus. I know that we are here mostly in our own personal capacities in the first instance, and also in the capacity of our regional organizations. How we get the fit between those two domains is going to be interesting going forward. But I think certainly there are things that we can do in our own individual capacity, as well as things that we might do in our official capacities.
What are some of the initiatives being undertaken by the OAS to help advance the sustainable development goals in your member states?
Well, we're doing several things at this time. I'll give you a few examples. In the area of energy, for example, we are assisting the Caribbean, the CARICOM Secretariat in the implementation of the Caribbean Sustainable Energy Resource Management and Strategy. That is a very ambitious program that CARICOM heads of government approved some years ago, and the OAS, through financial support from the United States government, is giving support to CARICOM in helping them to do this. The program has several foci. It has a focus on policies and regulations. It has a focus on knowledge management and dissemination. It also has a focus on strategies for implementation. And then it has some ad hoc working groups on geothermal energy, for example. Capacity building is another area of focus. So we're doing that on the energy side. On the small business, small enterprise development side, we're doing significant work in all of the countries in the Caribbean through what are called incubation centers. We have an incubation center in each country, and that incubation center is helping the private sector, the SMEs, to build sustainable value chains that will enable them to penetrate markets, but doing that in a manner that is sustainable in terms of the utilization of natural resources and the use of these resources and so on. We just completed a project on what is called the circular economy. It's also called closed loop cycling, right? And we did a project in Trinidad and Tobago, in Colombia, in Panama, and prior to that we did one in Ecuador. But we're looking now to document the lessons from that work so that we can create some pedagogy around it that the University of the West Indies and others can use to train a new cadre of entrepreneurs in that area. In disaster risk management, which is an area of great importance to the Caribbean because we are very vulnerable to natural disasters, we're helping the Caribbean Disaster Management Emergency Management Agency in implementing the Comprehensive Disaster Management Plan. In the area of environmental law and policies and so on, we're helping the countries to implement the multilateral agreements, like the conventions on climate change and so on. In the area of climate change, we are working with the Climate Change Center. We have an agreement with the center, and we assisted the center in designing the regional policy on climate change, and we also assisted them in implementing certain projects like the Caribbean Planning to Adaptation to Climate Change, the special program on planning for adaptation to climate change, and the mainstreaming of adaptation to climate change in the Caribbean. So that's just a sweep of some of the things that we're doing.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think are some of the next steps for the OAS and following a forum such as this one for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals?
Well, the next step for us is we all know about the SDGs. That's going to be our focus, because that's the focus of our countries. In the OAS, we have at least 4 countries that have blazed the trail on nationalizing the SDGs: Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and so on. And we're looking to share the lessons of these countries with other countries that are now getting into the act of doing this, mostly from the Caribbean. We want to continue with our sustainable cities capacity training programs. We want to continue with our blue economy work. We want to continue with capacity building, in particular, and institutional strengthening in the region for sustainable development. So that's going to be what we're about over the next 5 years or so.
For more information on the CSDF, visit their Facebook page at Caribbean Sustainable Development Forum. For more information on the work of the United Nations and sustainable development in the Caribbean region, visit www.2030caribbean.org.